Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tony's Comic Spotlight. In this weekly episodic series, I spotlight some of the best comics put to print.
In this week's episode, we celebrate the first appearance of Alex Olsen, the original Swamp Thing, by shining the spotlight on the House of Secrets, issue number 92 from 1971. If you are enjoying the content, please feel free to like and subscribe, and don't forget to ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos. Feel free to leave a comment as well. I hope you enjoy the videos. And now, on to our featured story.
Story number 1, Snipe Hunt. In the graveyard behind the House of Secrets, Abel invites the reader to join him in hunting for a snipe, while his brother Cain lurks behind a gravestone laughing at his gullibility. Story number 2, Swamp Thing. Sometime in the last century, Alex Olsen and Damien Ridge had been best friends. However, they both vied for the affections of a woman named Linda. Linda eventually married Alex, and Damien had to endure his heartache in the form of the supportive friend. But his desire for Linda overrode the bonds of friendship, and he conspired to eliminate Alex. He sabotaged the equipment in Alex's lab, causing an explosion that killed him. Keeping the knowledge hidden from Linda, Damien buried Alex's body in the swamp. Damien eventually married the widow Olsen, and they lived together in an old Victorian plantation house, but Linda never recovered from Alex's death. As months passed, Damien began to suspect that Linda might soon learn the truth, so he prepared to kill her. But Alex had been resurrected as a swamp thing and broke into the house and killed Damien. Linda fled from the creature in horror, never realizing that the beast who saved her was her beloved Alex. Story number 3, After I Die. A wealthy man named Maxwell James is obsessed with what happens after death. His obsession only grows stronger when he arrives at his wife's deathbed and realizes that she sees something utterly terrifying in her final moments. After his wife's death, Maxwell makes increasingly callous attempts to pursue this mystery, even paying to see a critically injured child and angrily storming out when the child makes a full recovery. Finally, Maxwell loses his patience and attempts to kill his wife's brother-in-law Hal with a gun. In the ensuing struggle, Maxwell is fatally shot and begs Hal to look into his eyes. As Hal obeys, he sees the reflection of the terror beyond death in Maxwell's eyes and is driven to permanent insanity. Story number 4, It's Better to Give. A homeless man encounters a crying baby warlock in the town dump who is upset that he has broken his balloon. The homeless man remembers that he's got a dime on him, so he gives it to the kid and tells him to get another balloon. The kid thanks him and tells him that he'll pay him back someday. The homeless man notices dimes start to fall from the nozzle of an abandoned bathtub and can't believe his good fortune. He gathers them up and goes into town to eat at a fancy restaurant, donate to the Salvation Army, and buy new clothes. A criminal observes that the man has run into some money and follows him back to the dump to relieve him of it. The criminal kills the homeless man, and the little boy is angry. He causes his new balloon to grow so large that it engulfs the killer. Then he approaches the balloon with a large pin. Story number 5, Trick or Treat. A failed painter murders in order to acquire a magic paint and canvas, which legend states will change your life if you complete a paint-by-numbers portrait. The man completes the portrait and cheerfully waits for his life to change as the ghoul with a knife raised high over its head steps out of the canvas behind him. Swamp Thing emerged from a unique period in comic book history. He first appears in House of Secrets number 92 in 1971, when the very restrictive Comics Code Authority began to loosen its grip on the industry a little. This spurred many new horror-themed characters from DC as well as Marvel. Writer Len Wein and artist Bernie Wrightson co-created the character for his initial solo story and then collaborated together on the early issues of his first solo title, which debuted in 1972. Swamp Thing is undoubtedly one of the most powerful creatures in the DC universe. Not only is he as strong as he is intimidating, he has control over all plant life in the universe. He can transmit his consciousness to any plant, be it moss, tree, or even a tobacco leaf, allowing him to manipulate his shape and size and rebuild his body wherever there is a plant life, making him practically immortal. In one instance, Lex Luthor plotted to kill Swamp Thing. The creature casts his consciousness into deep space, regenerating on a distant planet. He's even been known to travel through time. Swamp Thing isn't only one of the strongest characters in the DC Universe, but also one of the first to receive a big screen adaptation following Superman and Batman. Horror master Wes Craven released his Swamp Thing in 1982, retelling Alex's origin story and pitting him against Anton Arcane. The film's success led to the revival of the comic series and a less well-received movie sequel in 1988, The Return of the Swamp Thing. Cementing himself in pop culture, Greenpeace even aired a PSA in 1988, building upon the character's environmentally conscious message. Swamp Thing was also made a number of appearances on TV, with a live-action show being released in 1990 and a short-lived animated series airing on Fox Kids in 1991. More recently, he's been voiced by Mark Hamill in Justice League Action and is an integral team member in Justice League Dark. Over time, numerous characters became associated with Swamp Thing, complicating the notion of who or what the character is. This in some way begins at the beginning, with House of Secrets issue 92 features Alex Olsen, an early 20th century scientist. He becomes Swamp Thing and avenges his own murder. Olsen exits the picture when Swamp Thing returns for his inaugural solo series. This time, Alec Holland becomes the scientist who transforms into the creature in the modern day. Holland remains strongly linked with Swamp Thing in later comics and most other medias, though there have been other versions. Comic writer Len Wein, who would go on to co-create X-Men fan favorites Wolverine, Storm, and Nightcrawler during a later stint at Marvel, worked as a freelancer for DC Comics in the late 1960s and early 1990s. According to an interview for 2014's Swamp Men, Muck Monsters, and Their Makers, he was en route to DC's New York office, desperate for ideas to pitch, when the idea for the Swamp Thing struck him. The character's name came from Wein's habit to referring to him as that Swamp Thing he was working on. Wein, who died in 2017, was never able to pinpoint a specific inspiration for the character, saying only that it came to him from out of the blue. In the summer of 1971, DC's lineup included war comics, westerns, romances, horror, and sci-fi anthologies, and of course superhero books starring the likes of Batman, Superman, and Green Lantern. In 2016, Wein told Report magazine that the first appearance of the Swamp Thing outsold Batman, Superman, and all their costume cohorts. In fact, the House of Secrets number 92 was DC's best-selling issue that month. Even though Man-Thing beat his DC counterpart to the newsstand by a couple of months, differences in each company's production schedules meant Swamp Thing was probably in the works before Man-Thing. But that didn't stop Marvel's Stan Lee from allegedly trying to get Swamp Thing in when he heard the character was set to get his own ongoing series. According to Swamp Men, Lee insisted Marvel got to the swamp first and threatened to sue if DC didn't scrap the new book. DC editorial director turned publisher Carmen Infantino, who had worked on The Heap as an artist in the 40s, remembered telling Lee that both companies were drawing on The Heap, and even implied that Marvel's Incredible Hulk, whom Lee co-created with Jack Kirby, also had some distinctly Heapish qualities. Lee eventually dropped his objections. I want to take a minute and thank everyone for watching this video as we took a look at the first appearance of Alex Olsen, the original Swamp Thing, in House of Secrets issue number 92. If you're enjoying the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to ring the bell for future notifications as well. And join us back here next week as we take a look at the first appearance of Johnny Blaze, the Ghost Rider, in Marvel Spotlight issue number 5 from 1972. So until then, everyone, be safe, take care, and God bless. And thank you for your support.